Well, welcome back everyone to Kitchen Table TCG. We're going to look at Aria. We're going to look to see what we can figure out about the world, if we can make some guesses, predictions. This is, first off, I'm no lore expert. I read the lore book. I looked on the website. I have some ideas I think that could happen based on some things that are different than maybe what I said in my first little, I was in a bathroom spoiler video. So let's hop in. I'm excited. Tales of Aria. We've got stuff going on. We've got an article plugged for, I think, the 24th or something like that of July. I think it's 27th. Anyway, let's see what we got here. First thing I want to talk about is that Aria was a peaceful place. And so we're going to kind of go through some of the highlights and kind of see if we can figure out what this is all going to be about. So this is from the lore book. It's from the website at FABTCG.com, The World of Wraith. Yet in recent years, Aria has experienced a transformation. The barriers that once concealed and protected it have begun to fracture, revealing its existence for the first time in centuries. So for the first time in a long time, Aria has been able to be located, and it says outlanders threaten to breach the borders and enter, while the flow has become unstable, transforming the land at an increasing rate. So it's this weird time for Aria that kind of paints this picture of like something's about to happen. So, and I think we're gonna get this at the end of this. We're gonna look at the IVC 2 or whatever 3 it is article and see if there's something that we can identify, because I think there's some really cool stuff. So this once peaceful, this is the important part, this once peaceful region has entered a new era of uncertainty as its people rise up to defend, that's going to be important, their homeland from the outside world. What I want to try to capture in this video is, what is this new era of uncertainty going to look like? Because in my opinion, that's what the set's going to be. So let's take a look to see what else we can find here. Number 2 here, the second thing I want to chat about is the flow. So this is kind of the whole kind of idea of Aria is the flow. It's a wild, unpredictable force of nature. It shapes the landscape around it. The flow has given life to some of the most remarkable scenery in all of Wraith. The expanse of ice, this is important, the great expanse of ice, frozen solid even in the heat of the summer, deep and dense forests where the steam rises and crystal clear rivers, tiers of shining waterfalls, water pink as Ledodon, luminescent stone. You get the idea. The key here that I want to talk about is that it mentions frost. It mentions frost, and then later on, and actually I can't remember if it was on the website or if it was just in the lore book, there is some discrepancies, but it says that the flow flows through everything, even the people. So this is going to be interesting. It's not just the landscape, it's also the people. But I want to highlight here the mention of ice. And Eisen's Peak and all the different areas. But the flow connects a little bit, I think, with ice and frost. So we're going to talk about that at the end. I'm just trying to paint the picture for you right now, everything we know about Aria or Aria, whatever it is. So here we go. Next is the Guardians. This is the legend of the Exalted One. Long ago, the world of Wraith was cast in darkness and its people cried out in fear. No plant could grow. It was all bad, right? And so the Exalted One, a great creator of life, this is so cool, gave light to the world, plucking two... Oh, this is... We're still talking about ice, I think. Gave light to the world, plucking 2 stars from distant skies. One star became the sun and was placed within a chariot of radiant gold. The other became the moon and was placed in a chariot of shining silver. Okay, keep in mind, we're backing up here. We're not talking about Guardians. That's coming up. We're still talking about the flow, because we're talking about fire and ice here. The Exalted One gave life to 2 new beings, a pair of divine beings known as Badr and Asra. I don't know. You guys can yell at me in the comment section for my pronunciation of things. It's not my gift. Bright, lively Badr was given the golden chariot and 2 swift steeds of vibrant flame. Quiet, though, Azra was given the silver chariot and 2 gentle steeds of pale frost. So these are like horses, some sort of steeds, right? At once the twins took the sky. The light of the golden Badr brought day to the children of Wraith, a time of life and creation. The light silver of Asra brought the night a time of rest to recharge. Thus the people Wraith flourished beneath the light of the stars, and the twins have proudly fulfilled their duty ever since. So I thought that was interesting. We have an idea here of of fire and ice. And you know, in Monarch, we had the polar opposites of light and shadow. So to me, that really stood out as a potential. Where this breaks down is it seems like both of these ideas are living like working together for the good of Wraith. So there's no like conflict here. But we get to the conflict in a minute. So interesting. I'm just trying to paint the picture for you. But then we also have the Legend of the Guardians, and there's a lot of stuff on the website. But I wanted to talk about something that's actually in the lore book, and I couldn't find it on the website. So I'm just going to read it for you here. So in the lore book, this is in Bravo's kind of extended story. It says, many years ago, a group of wayfarers a group of wayfarers had come across a massive sinkhole to the south of Aria area where the earth had suddenly caved in. Assuming it was the work of the flow, they filled in the sinkhole with some of the more local townsfolk and thought nothing more of it. And then it comes out and Bravo fights all this stuff, and it really speaks to the idea of the Guardians being really heavily involved. And then it backs up on the website. The elementals began to fade away, and the ancient tradition of the Guardians disappeared along with them. Now, as this barrier of Aria and the rest of the world begins to fade, the Guardians are re-emerging. So this is super cool because this really, in my mind, solidifies Guardian. I know that the picture was Rangers, but like we're getting Guardians in the set. I can almost promise you, based on the lore of this, you know, Bravo is from here, we're gonna get Guardian support in the set. So I wanted to highlight that. All right, so now as we move forward, let's talk about what these Guardians do and talk about the swarm. So like I just said, a while ago, there was a report from one of the old wayfarers, which is part of the whole carnival thing, and a group of wayfarers had come across this massive sinkhole to the south where the earth had suddenly caved in, and assuming it was the work of the flow, they just filled it in. But then this huge swarm comes on, and the swarm descended upon the town and any villagers nearby, and near the fractal scar in the mindless rampage, slaughtering anything that crossed their path. The wayfarer called them dregs, humanoid figures with bloated, rotting bodies. Their faces were masses of melted, discolored skin, dripping the length of the bony, twisted limbs, and they attacked, and the air was heavy with the smell of burning flesh, bile and decay, steam rising from their open wounds. And that's when Guardians and Bravo comes in and swoops in. So here's what I want to chat about. This is what I want to I want to mention as we talk about the swarm. I'm trying to keep everything organized here. As we talk about the swarm, we learn about kind of this forest, and they're coming out from underneath, and I think that there's some stuff going on with like a fire and an ice, and it's going to be some sort of like old guard versus this new rising thing. And the swarm also paints pictures for a lot of the artwork that we've seen. I've mentioned on my channel, like a lot of the artwork is showing these bigger creatures fighting with little creatures around it, and so I think we're going to get some sort of, I honestly think frost. I know we'll talk about the lightning here in a minute, but I think frost and fire is going to be the kind of talents, in my opinion, of this kind of coming up set. And let's talk about some things. I want to talk about the swarm a little bit. Let me see how I get rid of this thing. I want to talk to the swarm a little bit because it mentions so much about the where is it? Here's the thing. The Lost Kingdom awaits the treasure of the forest hidden within. And I think that there's a rising kind of group of people coming up from underneath Aria, whether they've lived there for thousands of years or whether they've just started or they dug under to get under the flow or something. But here's kind of where I'm going with this. The description of the thing says the protectors of Eisenloft awaken from their endless winter slumber. So, those are the guardians. The wardens of Candlehold sharpen their thorns with the blossoming undergrowth. So Candlehold, okay, candles, flame, fire, sharpen their thorns. The wardens were kind of like underground, blossoming undergrowth. This paints its picture with Talisman of Dowsing, which has kind of given us a little insight, like the lost kingdom awaits the treasure of the forest hidden within. So there's something down there that is some sort of kingdom. I don't know, maybe something happening underneath. And I don't know. I think it's interesting. I don't want to get it. But my point here is I think that we see this like wardens of Candlehold paint this picture here. In my mind, that might pop into a little bit of flame. It's a little bit of a reach. But the opinion I have here is that we see a lot of frost versus flame. That's the main point here. And I want to address that because let's get rid of the swarm here. Because on this picture, right, and when I looked at it, I was like, oh man, that is definitely lightning. And I think Red Zone Rogue mentioned that it says Volthaven and Volt would be lightning potential. And I think there's a lot of truth. And honestly, like that's probably the best take. That's probably the safest take. That was my first take, right? I think I said in my video the other day when I was recording some crappy little video that this looks like lightning. But with all the other lore, this starts to look a little bit like frost to me. And like, it's not. It's probably lightning. It's definitely more like lightning than it is frost. But you could make the argument if you wanted to, and that's what I'm doing, that this could be the bow itself could be some sort of ice, right? The bow could just be ice and that could just be frost around it. I don't know. But then here's what really kind of solidified. These little dots over here. Can you see them? I can't show you these little dots right here look like snowfall. Right? So like I'm going with snowfall here, and I know it makes more sense to be lightning. I know it looks a little bit more like lightning, or maybe a lot more like lightning, but with the rest of the lore, I'm gonna go ahead and say that we're gonna see frost or ice versus fire, and that's gonna be the two polar opposite talents in Tales of Aria. I don't know. I just am more convinced of that now after reading through the lore. Now, here's the caveat. This is the biggest argument for what I'm saying. What I wanted to do again was paint two pictures. I wanted to paint the picture of what we have and then look at what we do have and kind of compare. So I think the story, the lore is going to be some sort of like coming up from under the ground, these battles, these fights, the Guardians. It appears like the Rangers are going to be fighting together to defend Aria. But then there has to be some sort of nemesis or enemy for that, some sort of conflict. And so in my mind, the conflict of that is the Underdark or the Underground. And so you could see lightning you could see fire and ice. You could also see like lightning and ground or like Underdark. And I know I'm like really getting into Pokemon here and like, Pokemon strengths and weaknesses, but they're opposites, and that's what we've seen from Monarch. So here's the biggest argument to what I'm about to say, and this comes from we have a Discord server where we discuss all this stuff. Shout out to the KitchenTableTCG Discord server. We had a great conversation, and Simon brought this up, and this is really cool. He says, put on your tinfoil hat. So in the Matt Rogers letter after the calling, it was signed Saga Skudua. I can't say it. Skouda being the name. Saga is an old word for story used by us Norwegian, he's Norwegian, when mentioning old written texts. Searching Skouda, I can't say it, on Google was a hard one, but eventually led me to a writer named Ben Skouda, and this is where it gets crazy. The text written by him, which they mention, yours is the highly charged expression number of all. You are like a lightning rod, attracting powerful ideas, intuitions, even psychic information like unpredictable bolts. You are a powerful presence without any awareness of your part having personal power. You are a channel for our higher vibrations, but in order to be emotionally and psychologically at peace, you must learn to control the flow of energy. You possess a bridge between the conscious and unconscious. So I don't know, like if that's like a little hint from James White to the community, in that letter to Matt Rogers, a great, member of our community. I see bolt, I see lightning rod, I see flow, and that completely goes against what I'm saying here. But I don't know. Take this for what it is. We've been having some great conversations in the Discord, so like I wanted to approach some more of my thoughts just based on like the lore of Aria, whatever it is. Man, I don't know. Final thoughts here. I know we're 15 minutes in. If you're still here, I want to know this from you. Do you want more talents, or do you want more support for Monarch talents? Because this kind of caught me off guard. Like, it did. It really caught me off guard in that I thought we were going to get more support for Monarch. I don't know. I'm curious. Like, what do you want? Do you like the idea of, maybe it's two new talents and it's fire and ice, or it's lightning or the flow or something like that? Maybe, here's, hot take for 15 minutes in. Maybe this is like an elemental set and we're going to have fire, ice, lightning, and I don't know, like some sort of super elemental theme. So you actually have 4 talents in this set. I don't know. I'm curious, what do you want? Do you want more talents? Do you want more support for the old talents? And then lastly, my hottest take of the day, hottest take of the year, and most wrong thing that I'll ever say on the channel, but I want it on record. I want it on record so that when it happens, I can say that I was right, which is kind of what I do here, right? Like I just kind of spew out things. I'm going to go out and say that, that Tales of Aria is the PvE set. And that the IVC whatever article was sent out wrong, and that they just put a placeholder in for the booster packs and the draftable set and the whatever, and that this is actually a PvE set, and that Kingdoms is still the name of the original set. That's my hot take. For those of you 16 minutes in, let me know what you think. Hope you guys have a great day. Remember to be kind to the people around you, and we'll see you later for another video.